Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. This is going to be part 3 of the GXP build, rebuild. So yeah, this is where we're still sitting. So it's Friday. I started working last Thursday, worked all week. Well, it rained all weekend, so I wasn't able to do anything. And then I've worked all week. Now it's Friday, I'm off again, and I'm off over the weekend. So today, my goal is to get this engine and trans pulled out of the car, which means I need to pull both of the strut to knuckle bolts and pop the axles out of the transmission. And then I need to finish undoing this transmission mount right here. I need to unbolt all the bolts from the trans and from the mount itself, pull it off, get the axles out on both sides, and then the whole assembly should pretty much come out, other than transmission cooler lines, which those are going to AN fittings. So I have the 2 adapter fittings that thread into the trans, should be delivered today, along with a few other things. I've got a bunch more stuff ordered. So yeah, everything's going pretty good. So the goal for today is to get this engine and trans out of the car and set down over here, and then I got to get this engine and trans separated. I want to get the engine bolted up to this trans and at least try to get it set back down into the car. Like, I know it's not going to be perfect, but that is my goal for today. And then I got a couple of tires from work, a couple of used tires with really good tread. They're 2022. Yeah, bam. So they're 245, 45, 18s. And those are going to be the 2 new front tires. And then I've still got to get a couple of rear tires. And yeah, I had a set of 4 all matching that would have been perfect, and had them set aside. Had already talked to my job about purchasing them. I even tried to pay for them in the morning, and they ended up selling them to the tire guy for less money. So really kind of pissed me off. But yeah, that's where we're at. So got insurance on both the cars this morning, and yeah, so now I just got to get this engine and trans pulled out. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. So got the strut to knuckle bolts out on both sides. Got both axles out on both sides. We've got all the bolts for the transmission mount bracket. I still have to get the cooler lines. And cherry pickers in the way. All the way around. There we go. This side's all undone. Got the axle completely out. This nice little $15 tool on eBay. It's awesome. But yep, popped them both out. So I've already got the lower mount bolts right there. They are out, chilling right there, the 2 nuts. And this whole rear mount was unbolted from the engine, so I don't know really how well it's gonna come out like that, but we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna let these drain for a little bit to try to catch as much fluid as I can to make the least amount of mess. And then once they're like done dripping, then we'll pull the pans out of the way, get the cherry picker centered up, and we'll get the engine and trans pulled out of here and finally separated. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. All right, y'all. Well, we got the front bumper pulled off, sitting over here. Went ahead and bagged up the bolts just to make a little bit of room, because the swivel right here on the cherry picker was rubbing on the front of the bumper. So I just wanted to pull it off. But engine and trans are just sitting in here right now. I still have to get the trans cooler lines undone, and we're still just letting the fluid drip out. It's mainly dripping on the diff side now. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get a pick, get these cooler lines undone, and then we should be able to hook up the cherry picker and get this thing pulled out of here. Damn, alright you guys, well, with a lot of finagling, I had to go underneath and unbolt the rear manifold, and I had David pull it out of the way. And then I had to sawzall halfway through one of the bolts that went in this plate, this upper bolt here. So you can tell it got kind of chewed up. but it was just the bolt head was wedged up against this frame rail or whatever, and wasn't enough room to get the bolt all the way out. So I just said fuck it, and finally we got it out. We had to take the whole rubber mount off right there. David pulled it off. He called it too, and as soon as he pulled it off, the whole bracket dropped down and it just came right out. And yeah, so now she's loose. She's just dangling in here. I'm just letting the trans fluid drain into that drain pan, so I'm not making a huge mess in the driveway. But yeah, there she is. She's coming out the top, engine and trans. And yeah, so now I've got a couple of junk tires sitting over there next to the shed. I'm gonna grab one of those junk tires, put it right here. I'm gonna set this thing down right on it. We're gonna get the trans separated, which is just these 4 bell housing bolts here holding it together. And yeah, she should be going back together onto that engine here shortly. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, well, she's out of there. Engine and trans is separated. There's a nice torque converter. So she's out. There's the engine. Yeah, you can really see that fucking rod is just bent the fuck. Yeah. She toasted, but no holes in the block anywhere, so it might still be salvageable. I don't know, I already told Lucas that he could have this block for a mock-up block because he wants to use it for a project. I told him he could just have it. So I'm probably going to pull the balancer off because I'm going to need the balancer. And I might need some of these sensors for the new 07 block. I'm probably going to need the flex plate for the new 07 blocks. I don't know if it comes with it. But yeah, she is out of there. Bam, look how nasty, disgusting it is in here in the bay. So all this is going to get degreased and power washed and cleaned the fuck up. But yeah, there she is. It's out. You see right there, it says 5.3. God, this thing's just so nasty. But it's alright, it's all going to get cleaned up. It's going to look great when it goes back together. You can see all the blue and pink marks everywhere. So it's definitely been remanned. All the fluid that came out was pretty red. The pan was already dirty, so it looks dirty now. But while it was dripping, it was still pretty red. So I'm pretty confident that this is a good trans. So now I just got to separate that engine and trans. Then get that engine bolted to this trans. And set it back in here. So now I've got to figure out something to do with this. And just set it somewhere. So I don't know, I'm going to get some stuff moved around. Try to figure it out. And I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so y'all can see it is pretty dirty in here, but man, that is a very accomplishing feeling to have this thing out. An engine and trans together wasn't that bad. Like I said, it was a tight fit trying to pull just the engine out, so I threw the bell housing bolts back in, and this still wasn't bolted back to the engine, but it didn't really seem to care. And then once we got that side transmission mount bracket, this one, yeah, once we got this all unbolted, this bolt was the one that was catching, but this one came out and these two came out. I had these off, and then David undid these and pulled this whole rubber mount out, and then the whole plate just fell right out. And after the plate fell right out, then it was just loose, and it pretty much just came right out. So made really good progress. So I'm going to get the tarp off of this one, start getting them separated, and I'll give y'all another update. Alright y'all, so we've got the engine block set on this creeper with some other parts. And David's doing me solid. He's been cleaning out this corner, so I'm just going to roll it over here in the corner once he's done. Yeah, but it's separated and out of the way. So I've been working on this engine. I got the starter all unbolted and pulled out. And I've got to get all the bell housing bolts. I've got to undo the rear mount like I did in the car. This one down here. So I've got to unbolt all this. And I also have to pull off this rear exhaust manifold because I'm going to swap it out with the other one because this one is missing. Oh, this one's not missing a stud. I thought this one was missing a stud. Well, I thought there was a reason why I was going to swap it out, but maybe not. Okay, well, either way, the crossover pipe has to come off to get to the bell housing bolts. And then I'm going to have to lift it up in the air so I can undo that little cover and remove all the torque converter, flex plate bolts. And yeah, then pretty much it should be apart. And I should be able to get this engine married up to this trans over here. And start getting everything, all the harness plugged in and getting the grounds bolted up where they go in the trans. And I don't know. I know this starter is good because it started up the engine. So probably going to run with this starter for now and just get it all put back together. I am going to have to pull the belt off, and I'm going to have to pull this AC compressor back off. And once everything is in the car, then I'm going to have to put the AC compressor on, just because I didn't want to disconnect to the AC lines and lose all the Freon because it is charged. So I just unbolted it, was able to leave it in the car in place, still connected to all its lines, and it's good that way. So wasn't able to do that on the Series 3 3800s. The line was directly in the way of the bolt. On this one, it's set up a little bit different. So that was at least one better thing on the Grand Prix over the 3800s is, yeah, this is a lot bigger, it's faster, and it's easier to work on, kinda, on some certain aspects. But yeah, this thing is dirty as fuck, so before anything goes back in here, I'm definitely going to be power washing everything. David brought me some purple power degreaser, so I'm going to mix it up in a spray bottle and spray it all over everything, let it sit, probably spray it again, let it sit, and then I'll power wash it. So yeah, I guess for right now, I'm going to keep working on this, getting everything separated, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I've got everything sprayed down with the degreaser. I'm using this old weed killer electric gun. It worked flawlessly. So I've got it sprayed down over everything. I'm about to spray down this transmission. I've already got the power washer out. Water's on. I just got to turn it on and start spraying. So I'm going to go ahead and spray down this transmission and then get the power washing, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright guys, well David took over power washing for a minute. But man, look, transmission came out so much cleaner than what it was. I mean, it's still not perfect. There's still some grime, but it's a lot nicer. Subframe's coming out really good. Look, that's the before, and that's the after. Like, so much better. The rack and pinion looks almost new. Like, it's just had a layer of dirt and grime on everything. But it's coming pretty clean, so way to go to the purple power. That shit works. And like, it got everything off. So I'm really happy with it. I did the wheel wells. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep power washing this, get this all nice and cleaned up, and then I'm gonna continue working on pulling that engine and the other engine and trans apart, so I can get that engine mated up to this transmission and get it ready to go back in the car. You guys, we are done power washing. It looks so much nicer in here. Everything's so much cleaner. It's ridiculous. I took the power washer and blew out in here because there was a lot of rat's nest and those mud dauber nests, and everything just blew out over here. You can see all the shit still laying there. But yeah, I got so much crap off of this thing. And then I sprayed out the fans because David had seen there was a bunch of mud dauber nests in the fans. So I had to make sure I sprayed all that and power washed all that out real good. But man, this looks way better than it did before. And then the trans turned out looking really good. So yeah, now I just got to get this thing separated and then I would like to probably power wash it off, but it is what it is. I'm just ready to get this trans bolted up to it, get everything plugged in, and just get it ready to set back in place. And then tomorrow, probably around 11 or noon sometime, I'm going to go with Noah out to Danny's. There's a supercharged Grand Prix out there. He needs a transmission, so we're going to go pull that transmission. It's already down to the block, pretty much how the LS was when we pulled it out. So we're just going to have to pull a couple axles, snip a couple trans cooler lines, and it should be able to pull right out. So we're going to go get that transmission and the flex plate for the 40th anniversary. And then after we get done going to pull that transmission, he said he'll come over here, and as long as everything's ready to go, he'll help me get this set back in place. So that is the plan. So I think David's going to leave here shortly and go home and eat, because he's been over here like all day helping me with this.
I gotta feed my animals.
Yeah, so he's going to go home and eat and take a break for a bit, and I'm probably going to keep working on this, trying to get these separated. I'm going to have to lift it up in the air to get the torque converter bolts and then undo the bell housing bolts. And then that pretty much should be it. It should be separated. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, guys, so I just got the axle piece out, and it's dripping. I've already removed all the bolts. They're sitting over there with the mount. So now I just got to get that bolt up there and this one over here in there. So I'm going to use these 215 wrenches and try to get these two bolts out of here. And then once I get these bolts out, I should be able to drop it down. And I've already got the bitch bolt out, and I've already got all but one bell housing bolt out. All the torque converter bolts are out. So once I drop it down, I should be able to just pull this one bell housing bolt, pry on it a little bit, and it should separate. And I should be able to just lift the engine back up. So, yes, y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, y'all, there she is. Got her separated from the trans. So it's a little more than what I thought it was, but it really wasn't that bad. So this goes around the diff where the axle goes in, and it's got the 3 bolts that bolt the plate on. I dropped one of them in the drain pan on accident. And then this little heat shield goes around the speed sensor right here, kind of goes over the top of it. So if you pull that off, then you can get your socket and extension to go right next to it and get one of them out. And then the other one you have to get with a wrench. Well, both the other two you have to get with a wrench. But I was able to get them off, and then pulled the 4 around the axle out. And if you just turn the axle, you don't even have to pull the axle out. But you do have to pull the axle out to remove the bracket completely. So, but yeah, I mean, it went pretty smoothly. So, and really this flex plate actually looks really nice. So I might just take the other flex plate that came off the old engine and just set it up there and make sure that the holes are the same pattern, and that way we don't have any issues. Yeah, and then I can go ahead and get this thing bolted up and made it to that trans, and shit, she'll almost be ready to go back in. Then all I have to do is just hook up a bunch of ground wires and, you know, just plug all the harness back in, and we should be golden. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update as I make some more progress. Alright, you guys. Well, me and David have been at it. He come back over, and shit, it was a pain in the ass trying to get this thing lined up and get the trans to go into place back on its dowels. But we finally got it in. All the bell housing bolts are in. I've got to put in the torque converter bolts and get those tightened down. But rear mount, we got it swapped out to a nicer one. I do have brand new ones on the way, but they're not going to be here until between next Monday the 12th to like Thursday the 15th. So next week sometime the mounts will be here. I'm really not trying to wait that long. But both the front mounts, the one on here and the one in the car, are both trashed. So I don't really know which one is. I'll probably just unbolt this one and pull it out and just let that one just sit right down in its spot. But yeah, I got to pull the belt off. Got to remove the AC compressor because this one's going to be going on. And yeah, then I think I need to remove the thermostat housing from over here because I still have the one on here. I'd rather just use that one. And yeah, then I just got to take all the harness and just get it plugged into everything on the transmission, get all the grounds down here, just make sure everything's plugged in, and it'll pretty much be ready to go back in the car. And then I got a couple of new battery terminals because the ground one is just a fucking cheapo piece of junk. Oh, if I can get it out of there. Well, it's stuck right now. But yeah, it's a piece of junk, so I got some brand new ones up here, a black one and red one. They're under the hood. But yeah, you see the red one's there, black one's there. So got some brand new battery terminals for it. So I'll have some nice color-coded brand new battery terminals. And then I'm going to lengthen this wire that goes from the battery up to the fuse box. I'm going to put a longer one on there because this one, it's a very tight stretch and you can't put the cover on the fuse box because this is going right in the way when it's bolted on of where the cover needs to go. So I'm going to do a little bit of different wiring there, but I mean, pretty much everything should just plug right back in and plug into this trans. And once I get that other front engine mount out of the car, this should pretty much be ready to just set in place. And then I'm gonna do an oil change, and yeah, I'm just gonna run this thing. I need a car together, so I'm gonna make it happen with the help of David and Noah. So thank you again for the help, bro. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to get this thing in the car, get it all hooked up, have Bill come do his thing. And then once I get the computer back, I'll have the VATs deleted and everything, and then it shouldn't even matter. So once the computer has the VATs deleted, then yeah, I should just be able to throw it in and go from there. And I'll use the 07 harness and everything for that. And once the VATs are deleted, none of that shit should even matter because there's no VAT system. So that's pretty much how we started this engine sitting right here, was because it had the VATs deleted, so it didn't need any of that stuff. It just needed a PCM power and a crank signal, and that was it. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to get this thing in the car. Looks like my phone's dying, so I'll give you guys another update here shortly. All right, you guys, so we got quite a bit done. So we got pretty much everything ran. Everything is plugged in. We got the side mount on. Torque converter bolts are in and tight. Got the mount on. Got this front mount out. We noticed that this has this full power steering line going all the way to the rack. And it's bolted on down here. And it's a pain in the ass to get to on the pump. And so we just jacked up the exhaust with the jack. Had to pull out both the lines. And it goes right there under the exhaust. So as we drop this in, we're going to have to snake this back under the exhaust right there. So I just got it hung up. We got all the spark plug wires on. I mean, everything's pretty much ready to go. We just got to drop it in and line up the mounts. We should be good. So yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and put the phone down, and we're going to wheel this thing up underneath the car and try to drop her down in there. And looks like it's sitting pretty level, so hopefully it doesn't give us too much of an issue. I went ahead and unbolted the brake master just so we're not catching on anything. I got everything tucked up out of the way. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. All right, you guys. So we've got it, for the most part, set back down into place. You see, we barely have our clearance over here, but we have it. Everything's just super tight right now. There's no mount or nothing over here. I just have it sitting on a jack. But it's, for the most part, it's sitting down pretty much where it needs to be. It's going to be good enough for tonight. Yeah, you can't really see the mount. But it's pretty damn close over there. So I'm happy. Made a shit ton of progress today. I'm going to pick up and continue working on it tomorrow after Noah and I get done pulling the transmission from the salvage yard for his 40th anniversary. So, yeah, y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update tomorrow afternoon. You guys, it's the next morning. Got everything picked up last night and kind of stacked up over in front of the car. Noah's here, so we're gonna head out to Danny's and try to go get this transmission pulled out for him and get that flex plate. So I've got my impacts, batteries are charged up, grab some axle nut sockets, and he's got a whole little toolkit. So if anyone's looking for an 05 or 06 GXP transmission, the transmission might actually work in 07 and 08 too, I'm not for sure. But I'm using the 07 trans with the 06 harness and stuff, so hopefully it all works out. But if anyone's looking for a trans, I have this trans with the 165,000 miles. I just posted it on Facebook for $250, so if anyone is close to Tulsa, Oklahoma and wants to come pick it up, $250. Good trans. So yeah, I think we're gonna head out to Danny's, so I'll give you guys another update. Prix. There's the engine and there's the trans. We got her out. Only took us a couple hours, so he's got his trans. Now we just got to get the converter off, and we'll be good to go. All right, you guys, so we got back over here to the house from getting Noah's transmission, and we started working on the Prix. I put the headlights back in, looking good. So we used the jack, and Noah was able to get the transmission side plate on with the mount, so it is now bolted in and secured over here on the transmission mount. And then so next I came over here and I had to use the pry bar and put down the impact, but I had to just take it just like this and just put the pry bar right under the edge of the transmission mount and just pry up, and eventually after like 4 or 5 pries, you know, slightly moving it each time, I got it to drop right into place. So now I've just got to get the 2 nuts. Those are the exhaust nuts. I'll find a couple nuts. There was 2 nuts laying around. I think David picked them up yesterday, but they go on the bottom side of the mount. And then for the AC compressor, I removed the whole stud and just pulled the stud out, so now I'll be able to just pull the AC compressor right up into place, put the bolt in, put the stud in, and bolt it down, and we should be good to go. So next thing, after I get that bolted down, I have the front mount right there. Again, the bushing is fucked, but it's all good. So yeah, now I just got to get that snake down under there and get it into place, get it bolted on, and we should be good to go. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Guys, so I just got this axle put back in place, so it is now in there. There she goes, clicked in place. So this side's all back together. I just got to put the sway bar link on. Got the transmission mount is on, and then now over here, I'm pulling the strut to knuckle bolts back out. I still have the sway bar off. And then that way I can pull this out far enough to get the axle back in. I just got to go in the wheel bearing first, and then slide over and go into the diff housing. So that's how it's going to go. So I've got to get these bolts out, and it's just fighting me a little. So I'm going to have to let the jack down and come put the jack over here to give me a little bit of a lift, because it's just binding up. I can't get the bolts to come out now. So but yeah, I'm gonna get these bolts out, get this axle in. I've got to get 2 nuts still to put on that rear transmission mount from underneath, and I've got to get the AC compressor bolted back on. You see it's lined up right there. And yeah, there's not very much left to go. And then I think pretty much everything is plugged in down underneath except for the AC compressor. I know it's not. And then I've got to get a front engine mount on down here. I guess I'm gonna have to go from underneath and get it up in there somehow. But yeah, I got to get that front engine mount, and yeah, then it'll be sitting in there all by itself. And then it's just going to be plugging some stuff in, running some wires. I got to get all these wires that are right here tucked up. They go to the ABS, to the brakes, and into the body harness for the car. And these go over here for the computer and the transmission control module. And then, yeah, now it's just running everything to where it needs to go, plugging everything in, get the fuse box in. And, I mean, it's almost there. And then I still have to reinstall the coolant tubes for the heater core. They run down there to a couple of hoses on the bottom side of this water pump housing. And so yeah, I still got to get radiator hoses hooked up down there and all that, but we'll get there. It's coming along. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, y'all, so I've got all the wiring up here all plugged in. Everything's plugged back into the car. I just need to plug in the engine control module, and transmission control module is still in there. And then I'm using the bottom part of the original airbox, but I'm just running a cone filter on it. So I've got both of the axles are in, both of the sway bar links are back on. Everything over here is tight. And if you come around on this side, I got the axle in over here. Everything over here is all on. I just need to tighten down the axle nut. But everything is going really well. So next thing is I'm going to have to get the AC compressor on and get the belt on. And then I've got to get the fuse box in after that. And I still have to hook up the power steering lines. The one, it's right there, sticking up right here by the AC line, and I had it hanging on the O2 sensor, and we forgot to tuck it down under the exhaust. So I'm gonna have to end up using the jack to jack up the exhaust in the back, like at the cat area, and that will lift the where it connects to the manifold up, and I'll be able to get the line to snake down underneath it and get it over and get it threaded into the rack and pinion where I need it to be. And yeah, so, and then I still have to retighten down the other line on the rack and pinion. And then I'm just gonna have to connect this hose right there onto the hard line coming off of the engine, and that'll be that. So it's getting really close. It's coming together very quickly. So I guess I will give you guys another update here shortly, so y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. Alright, you guys, so I've been hard at work. I've got the front mount in place. So she is sitting on its mount, bolted up in there. It's hard to see, but there she goes. So it looks like I still got one more bolt right there. And then that one is for the AC compressor, because the compressor still has to go back in. But man, really, really good progress. Awesome. Everything looks really good. And then David was able to get the 6AN fuel fitting out of the fuel line. We got that connected. So now the next thing is going to be that big heater hose that runs around and goes down there to the bottom of the thermostat housing. And the AC compressor, we got to get that on. And yeah, then I got to get the bottom side of the airbox and get the computer plugged in. And we can go and get the intake on after that and get the mass airflow plugged in. And this little toot here just goes right here into the valve cover. And then I have to get a little 90 piece to go into the brake booster right there. So I'm going to check the other intake off the 07 and just check that hose, and might have to just swap out that hose or whatever. But man, it's almost there. Like, it's on all its mounts right now. So there's not a whole lot left to go. I got fuse box and power steering lines, computer, battery, I mean, it's very, very close. Shifter cables all hooked up. Everything down there is plugged in.
We just have the crossover and the...
Oh, yeah, the exhaust crossover pipe has to go back in.
Power steering line.
And, yeah, the power steering. Yeah. And then I have to click the transmission cooler lines back into the transmission. And then I've got to change some battery cable pieces because I got brand new ones up there. So it's getting there though. It's really, really close. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. So I got the computer and the bottom of the air box in. I'm going to be using this little Spectre 4-inch cone filter for now until I can get a better filter. But we just got the AC compressor bolted on. We're getting this coolant tube snaked through here, but I needed to get the AC compressor out of the way. So I'm gonna go back down to the bottom so we can get this popped into place. It'll route right around here. This tab here bolts onto this dog bone, and then this one back here bolts onto this bracket. And then there's one right down here that bolts on right to the front of the water pump housing. And then once this is on, then I can go down here underneath. Oh, yeah, and you can see everything right there. So I've just got to connect all the hoses. I've got the main radiator hose right there. It goes on to the big one. And then you can see those two loops. These small hoses, those got to go on to those two small ones. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but I should be able to get it. The front mount is in. AC compressor is in. I just need to plug it in. It's right here. And then I got to get some hoses on, but I'm going to wait to plug that in until the hoses are on. But yeah, it's coming along. Making lots of progress. The engine is sitting in place on its mounts. Almost all of the harness is all plugged in over here. It's just some little stuff. So we're making really, really good progress. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. All right, y'all. So I got the crossover pipe in. It is nice and tight on both sides. I did accidentally run the harness on the back side of this. It's supposed to come out here, and there was a clip right here for it to clip to, but it was broken. So I ran it on the back side on accident, but it's cool because it holds it out of the way of the exhaust, and everything still fits like it should. So I'll probably put a zip tie around it right there just to hold it. But yeah, other than that, we should be good. Everything's looking good. Got the intake on. Everything over here is plugged in. Everything electronic wise is plugged in except for the fuse box, which I'm waiting for it until after I put the belt on. And I was over here. I was about to start getting the belt put on, and I noticed that I still had this power steering line. And then I was looking at the engine, and it goes right here on the power steering to the reservoir. And it runs on that side of the alternator. And so I'm like, okay. And I had to bend the crap out of it because it was wedged to get it to move around. But I found out there's the hose right here, hose clamp, and it disconnects right here. So I've already got it loose, it spins. I just got to get it off. And then you can see the other toot right there sticking out. So that hose needs to come off of this hose and go on to the one that's on this new engine. And then I can just pull this whole piece of hose out completely. And then I still have this one up here, and it needs to go down underneath the exhaust down there, and I'll have to screw it down onto the power steering rack from underneath. But yeah, it's getting really close. There is not a whole lot left to go. So I'm just trying to get this power steering lines done. Then I can get the belt put on now that the AC compressor is bolted back on and everything there's tight. And yeah, I'm really excited. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. All right, you guys. So made a lot of progress. Everything's pretty much together. Got the fuse box in, got the battery in. Car has power. Was able to pop the trunk. I haven't tried to crank it over or anything. I forgot to put the belt on, so I'm still going to have to probably remove the fuse box to get the belt on. But I got all the power steering lines are done. I just have to do the 2 in the rack. And on this side, I think I'm done with everything on this side. I got to do the trans cooler lines, and then I got to zip tie up the speed sensor wires on the other side like I did on this side, and then get the bumper on, which is chilling over here. And yeah, here not too long, or before too long, Bill should be coming over and programming everything, and then should be able to get a first start on this thing. So that's going to be it for this video. So leave me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Leave me a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button so don't miss out on any future videos. And the next video, whenever hopefully we get a first start on this thing. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.